hello there, listeners. It's me, Dr. Benji FM. We are back with some For the Fans action. I'll be joining Pridey and Chris in just a moment. Make sure if you're watching, be sure to tweet out the stream. It's just gone. A link's gone live on our Twitter a moment ago. If you're watching on the rebroadcast, welcome to our England chat. As I say, England chat. It's World Cup chat with a bit of England as well. And right then, it should be exciting as I enter the boys there, which is not what's happening at all. Boys.
Oh,
good evening. Well,
3 lines on my shirt.
3 lines on his shirt. It was quite dramatic in the end, wasn't it?
Oh.
Bit too dramatic for my liking, if we're being completely honest. But of course, we're joined by Pridey and Chris. Pridey and Chris, the same person. Hi, Pridey. I did a wave and everything. How you doing?
yeah, I'm good. I've won some money tonight because of Harry Kane. England have won in the last minute.
We'll talk about that in a
Amazing.
minute. Jack is also here, and Keno is still Oliver Holt from the Times. I always forget which one it is. It's one of those. But no, we are back and ready for action. If you're in the chat, hi. Do say hello in there if you're live with us. And when's Keno's face reveal? Oh, at some point it's gonna be climactic.
Not today.
Yeah, not today. So. Boys, let's get straight into it then. Let's not waste any time. Let's talk about what we saw live, and I hope it was live. If it was pre-recorded, that would have killed the enjoyment somewhat, wouldn't it? It was England 2, Tunisia 1, and Gareth Southgate is the best England manager this year. So hats off to him. We won our first game of the World Cup, which I've heard all week was something that never happens. So that was good. What did you make of it, Chris? Who was your standout man from the game?
I think there was
tough in it really.
Kind of weak. Yeah, I think the first 20 minutes is probably some of the best football I've seen quite a while. Like it seems like every game we seem to play really well for the first 20 minutes, and then once Tunisia scored the penalty, it seemed to just become this. Oh, it's the same old England again. We're just passing the ball sideways. Nothing's happening. It was so slow.
I was watching outside, and after Tunisia scored, the clouds started to come in.
And it
started to spot with rain.
I had flashbacks. Like I was thinking, oh yeah, this is amazing. Like we're playing. We could have been 3-0 up in the first 5 minutes. Like the keeper made a great save from Lingard. Sterling missed a star, and then we scored. And it was just the moment Tunisia scored, I thought, oh, here we go again. That's it. All the hype's gone. We're not winning the World Cup. It's over. We're going out in the group stage.
What do we think? We'll come to who we thought played well. What did we think of the team selection? Because it wasn't what we predicted, and I'm not sure. Like Guy Mowbray said at the start of the game, well, this has been talked about for the week. I'm thinking, who's been mentioning this? I didn't know this was going to be the team at all. But what did you think of it when you saw it?
Too far from what we.
I mean, he started young, which I think was a bit surprising. And he went with Maguire over Cahill, which again, we weren't too sure about that. Yeah. But I
actually think Maguire was probably the best of 3 centre. He had a really good game, and he saw a lot of the ball as well and did quite a lot with it. And I quite like how he brings it out from the back. Obviously, he's a bit more physical than Stones. Stones likes to get on the ball and then pass it out.
Yeah.
Whereas Maguire gets it and drives and sort of runs and brings the ball with him. And like that can often commit the midfielders. And so there were quite a few times where Maguire brought it forward and opened up space for like Lingard.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Well, Southgate obviously feels like he's obviously better at that than Gary Cahill, and I think most England fans, having seen the evidence, would probably agree with that as well. With the back three, it was quite interesting. Like Kyle Walker obviously gives away the penalty. He'd never looked more like a right back than in that position. Like Rio Ferdinand was. Did you see what like BBC was saying?
I couldn't hear it very well.
Okay, essentially Rio Ferdinand, he wasn't going in on Kyle Walker, but he was essentially saying that Kyle Walker's defending it wrong. And all I could think the whole time was he's defending it like he would if he was at the back post as a right back. And that's what caused the problem, but because he was in a central area against what is a bigger player ordinarily, right? Normally he's not facing off against sort of a 6'2" sort of guy, 6'3" kind of guy. So it's a bit unfortunate though for me. The pen, it's like whatever. Anyway, we'll get to that.
No, I do think it. Yeah. Do we want to talk about?
We'll get to it in a minute. Okay. Trippier obviously filled in right back. I thought Trippier had one of our better performances. Was good. Yep. Set pieces were fantastic. Like I was saying a lot pre-tournament.
All the set pieces through the whole game were great.
Ashley Young put in some decent ones as well. I was saying like pre-tournament, I didn't really mind if him or Trent started. I think Trippier nails down that spot now. I think Trent's had a fantastic year, and obviously as a Liverpool fan, I'd love to see him in there, but. Trippier had a great game. I was really, really impressed with what he brought to the team. Provides a lovely balance as well. Young on the other side, I still think, even after watching tonight, I still think Danny Rose gives us a better balance, and we didn't necessarily have that. What did you make of the fullbacks, Chris? Because they've got a massive role to play in the system.
Well, the first half, I didn't think Ashley Young played too badly. That he put in a few good balls. I think there was the one where was it Lingard's? He mishit it right at the back post, and Young took out 3 defenders with one ball. And some of his crossing was good in the first half. I think the second half it got a bit because Tunisia started camping a little bit backwards.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for Young to get into those advanced positions to put the ball in the box, and then I think he ended up a bit more central towards the end of the game, which. He's sort of ineffective there. He can't cross the ball. He can't beat a man anymore, like he used to back in the day. So yeah, I think as the game went on, I probably would have said Rose would have been better playing on that wing because you stretch the Tunisia back line more. You have a more naturally left-footed player on that wing as well, so it's easier to get the ball in rather than cutting back and having to cross onto your right.
There was definitely a few times when that happened, when you wanted a left footer.
But Trippier played really well. I think. I've always been backing him. I know you've backed Alexander-Arnold to start. And,
I don't really mind, to be honest. I think both do a pretty similar job. I think delivery from both of them is actually excellent. I think that's one. I prefer both of them over Kyle Walker in this system. I will say that much. But I think Walker does a pretty decent job.
Trippier, I thought Trippier did. Yeah, it was a good. I think he'll probably start the second game as well. I can't see him being dropped at all. But. Yeah, I thought the back 5 in general played pretty solid. Like obviously, other than the penalty, I don't think Pickford really had to make a save all game.
I agree with that.
It's they. I think actually, sorry, I say back 5, back 6. Like Henderson as well was part of that as well, and I mean he deserves credit. I've seen a lot of people slating him.
I was going to ask you both. Like obviously, my Jordan Henderson opinions are quite known these days. But what did you boys think? Kane, I'll come to you then. What did you think of Henderson's performance? Of course, he was picked over Dyer. It was very much him or Dyer for this game.
Really good, I think. I didn't have an issue.
He only passes it back though, mate. Only passed it sideways and backwards.
we said. I mean, the thing is though, if he is on his own in that midfield, that's fine. Like he can just recycle the ball. That's fine. Yeah. Like as I just mentioned at the top about Maguire bringing it forward. Like there are other players around him that will sort of make things happen. Yeah. So he's able to just keep it really simple. Keep recycling the ball. I think. Maybe Dyer, as we've kind of said, against a better team, maybe you might want to play both of them in there. But in a game like that, it's fine to have Dele Alli and Lingard ahead of him. I think it sounds a bit cliche to mention the heat, but Lingard and Ali lost that sort of zip that they were playing with in the first
20 minutes they looked really good. Proudy, give me your thoughts on Henderson before I don't want to weigh in before you two have had your say.
I think he gets a lot of stick because I think it's the name. Like a lot of people are still sort of stuck in the past with Henderson. Like I'm guilty for a lot of slack I've given Henderson, but I think like recently I've sort of understood his role better. And I think in games like these, like Tunisia, I think we all knew how they were going to set up. Like we needed the early goal, which we always say, and then they got the goal back and they started sitting back. And the problem is Henderson's role then changes in the game because his role is to obviously protect the defence. And also covering if any of the centre backs push forward, and also to be the water carrier. But the problem is when your only options are out wide and you can't play the ball forward because it's so congested in the middle. Yeah. Your role, the argument about Henderson is like he always pass sideways. Well, if that's the only option he's got and that's to keep the ball moving, then he should do that. Like, I don't know why.
I'm honest, Chris. I'm pleased you've said that rather than I've said that. But the thing for because obviously I watch Henderson every week, right? So I know how he plays and the style in which he plays better than most people. And what England aren't very good at doing at the moment is playing from deeper areas. Now, I don't know if Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard were told to sit with Sterling and with Kane in sort of a 4. Did you notice they were always really close together all the time? We had wide players and those 4 were always together. What Henderson needs is Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard, not just one of them. This is the problem England have got at the moment. He needs them both to drop a little bit so that he can turn with the ball. Because what Henderson did in the first half a few times, he turned with the ball and then you could see him get annoyed at what was going on in front of him. Because if players aren't making runs, if they're not running in behind, Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard were doing neither of these things from about the 25-minute mark onwards. They were hanging in between. They weren't running down the line. I was crying out for Vardy. I was thinking, someone get Ali off, get Vardy on to make that bursting run beyond Kane. He brought Rashford on in the end for Sterling, who did that pretty well, as did Loftus-Cheek. But you need a player to either come deeper to get it and then carry it. Like we say, Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard are the ball carriers for England, right? They're the players that are supposed to get on it and drive the ball forward. If they're camped with Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling, there's no space to do anything, and there's no options for Henderson to pass it. So as Proudy said, really. He's got to go backwards and he's got to go sideways. And as you said as well, Keno, when he's the only player in that role, if he's got somebody next to him, then it's completely different. He can be a little bit more... Like, for example, he can play it to them and then make the run himself. We saw him do it a few times when Loftus-Cheek came on. All of a sudden, Henderson was making runs beyond sort of the final players within attacking moves. But he needs more support in the middle when we're in possession of the ball. Otherwise, like as Paddy says, he's only going to be able to do it backwards and sideways. And that,
on Loftus-Cheek as well.
He's very good at doing that, though. It should be said as well. He keeps the ball tremendously well in there. But
I think,
go on.
Yeah. I think, as you mentioned just then, Loftus-Cheek, I think...
Looked great. Looked really good.
And Southgate deserves a hell of a lot of credit for the substitutions that he made, because Rashford and Loftus-Cheek, while they obviously didn't have a direct hand in the final goal, they came on with energy and definitely kind of tipped the sort of pressure back on towards Tunisia, which obviously then led to the was it a set? Did it come directly from a set piece? The goal, the header,
corner.
Yeah, which led to the pressure, which came to the goal. And so I think, he deserves a huge amount of credit for that, because at half time, my mate said to me while we were watching it, you could kind of, and this did happen for the first sort of half an hour of the first half. Really, it went stale, and you could almost feel the
so why was that then?
Going, I don't know.
What do you think happened? Did Tunisia just decide actually we need to sit off a little bit more? Or,
possibly, but I think it's just difficult. It's difficult to maintain that intensity that we certainly played with for the first 20-25 minutes for the whole game. And after a goal which we probably didn't deserve to concede, I think we were the better
let's
side for most of the game.
Let's talk about that on the penalty. Like, everyone watching it can see why it's a penalty, because his face has hit his arm. But it's more that his face has hit his arm than his arm's hit his face.
Yeah.
Like, it's harsh. Do we think it's a penalty? Oh, probably. Do you think it's a penalty?
Well, see, the thing is
I don't really know. To be honest.
Well, the problem I have is I think most of the time I would say it's a penalty, but it was the fact that when you base it on the decisions that England had against them as well, then it's like, well, how is that a penalty? And then the two that we weren't given, like for Harry Kane get wrestled to the floor, weren't.
Yeah, that's my problem.
I think that's the problem that a lot of people are having, because I think most of the time, if you just take that decision out of the game by itself, I think most of the time you say, yeah, that's a penalty, because I don't really know what Walker's doing. Probably it's more like, oh, he's trying to shield off the player, but it's like, well, why are you trying to shield him off when he's going to get nowhere near the ball? I don't think he was going to dive and header it. So, but I think my biggest gripe is the fact that the England weren't given the penalties that they should have been given as well. And I mean,
think at least
one. One
of those Kane ones.
But see, this is what I'm going to be interested in, because Ben's obviously talked a lot about VAR, and why was VAR not used? Like, VAR has been used in so many games in the tournament. Why was it not used for us? I don't understand. Like,
I think it was, but don't you feel like they were just looking at the wrong thing with the Kane one? Is that what you're talking about with the Kane situation?
Yeah, no, there was two. There was one in the first half where the guy was nowhere. It was looking at the corner. Flag,
I know what you mean.
And then the one in the second half where the guy had his arm round Kane's neck. Down as well.
The second one was worse for me.
I should say, for people watching live, and for people watching on the rebroadcast, I think you can vote as well. I'll just put a poll up in the top right hand corner. If you hover over the screen, you'll see the eye. I think you can do it on any device. Penalty, yes, no, or don't know. Let us know and give us your feedback. We'll obviously read the results of that out later on. So. Yeah. You're right with VAR, and obviously there's no one being more critical of it than me, really. I think in world football, I'd probably take that award. It's one of those things with VAR that I actually think it's been pretty good this tournament. But you are right in that circumstance.
I agree, actually.
Why isn't there a bit more of a it's weird. I can't believe I'm saying this. Why wasn't there a bit more of a stoppage to actually look at it? Because it's quite clearly a penalty. Like, he's pulling him down when he could have gone for the ball. But someone's just putting Mark in the chat has just said, still fuming about the inconsistency of VAR. And I think throughout the tournament, as much as I can praise it for being good, and they've got a lot of the big decisions absolutely spot on, and you can't criticise that. And a lot of the time, it's been seamless. That's one of my massive contentious issues with it. Like, if I know it's happening, there was a game. It might have been today, it might have been last night, where it felt like every 2 minutes we were getting a VAR decision. I can't think which game it was now, but it was happening all the time. It
wasn't it a Spurs FA Cup game?
No, it was a World Cup game. It was
World Cup.
In the last sort of 4 or 5 games. I can't remember which one it was, but they were going to it all the time. And there was one for those that were watching the games.
France, Australia, wasn't it?
No, he gave a booking quite late on for a foul. I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry, everyone.
Okay, yeah.
There should be 2 polls, by the way. People are wondering if the polls exist. I think maybe you have to restart or refresh. I'm not sure. But essentially, if I know they're using VAR, like there's a lot of people like Mark Lawrence just thinks that if they're not stopping the game, VAR's not being used, which is quite funny. But it's when I don't notice it, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Loro needs to just. I mean,
he needs to stop.
The problem is, Kino,
out for the World Cup.
if you search World Cup Mark Lawrence 4 years ago, the tweets are just the exact same. Probably had a banger of a tweet, to be fair, on Loro. He clearly wants to mention it. He compared him to a ham sandwich.
No. I've not said anything about it in the last week. Thank you.
Just ham.
Just ham. It was good. It was a good tweet. How many retweets did that get?
I can't remember.
It's just lies.
I'm pretty sure it said
he knows down to the single digit.
No, it said something like more than 15,000 likes, but that's
okay. Yeah, just the 15,000 likes. The viral king does it again.
They got on the mirror.
Do you want some stats from the England game?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd love some stats. Yeah.
So Kieran Trippier during that game created 6 goal-scoring opportunities, which is more than any other player so far in the tournament.
Quite a few cutbacks, weren't there? And probably from corners as well, I imagine.
Yeah, and Tunisia's only shot on target was the penalty. So I think,
Proudy, I'm gonna come to that actually. That's Kino's mentioning that stat. The pre-game, you were going, Tunisia are quite good. They're quite good. I'm telling you, and I was telling you they're not good. That is fictitious.
No, I didn't say they weren't good. I said we were undermining them.
We weren't. As we saw tonight, Proudy, they are proper shit, mate.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like a lot.
Like they are so bad.
No, but I feel like a lot of games that we go into, like I can remember, like in the European Championships, it was the same with the Slovakia one where we drew 0-0, and like they get that one chance, like we had that one big chance where we'll get, we won't score, and then the team will sit back, and it's just like, well, I'm sure these teams can attack because I mean, obviously the friendlies being friendlies. I mean, they came back from 2-0 down against the European champions Portugal. Well,
the best games with teams like Tunisia is when they play Panama because they feel as if both teams feel as if we can get at each other there. Like, and that's when they flourish. In games like this, I felt like Tunisia gave us too much respect, if I'm being completely honest.
I think it would be interesting to see if this game, like England-Tunisia, was the second group game. Like, if it was the first, because the first group game, every team that's weaker than their opposition, they'll just
that's
back
true.
and defend. So I think it would be interesting to see if it was the second game.
Under that assumption, are we assuming that Panama are going to have to go for it a bit?
I'm a little bit worried.
I'm looking forward to Torres.
Panama were interesting.
Rampaging through.
Yeah, they were interesting against Belgium. Like Belgium sort of laboured.
Belgium looked like England of 2006.
Yeah,
I thought.
I'm not worried.
Let's we'll get to that. We'll get to them later. Back to England though. I've mentioned Ali and Lingard. What did you make of Sterling's performance? He seemed more bothered by the flies in his face than he did doing something good on the pitch. I thought I'm sure that'll be front page of the Sun tomorrow. But it was just like ignoring the flies. Performance-wise, actually, no, do you know what? We talked about them enough. Harry Kane is so isolated in this system. I know he's got 2 goals and he's run 9 kilometres or something, but he's so isolated in this sort of system. And part of it's isolated, part of it's crowded. Like we need to get more out of Harry Kane. We saw that every time he's on the ball, something good happens. We don't see him on the ball anywhere near enough.
I think this system that we play doesn't really suit. I mean,
don't think it needs a Sterling.
No, and I don't really think it suits playing a team like this. I think Southgate has designed this kind of system with a Belgium, or a Germany or whoever, like a better team in mind. I think we'll actually see the best of it when we do play a better side who will have more of the ball and we can really use our best qualities.
And I think we'll see Vardy in those games as well.
Definitely,
which is exciting, really.
And what we need to really do in these kind of games is just get through, and we've done we've been able to do that. So I think on Sterling, when they play like the 5-3-2, and he doesn't play Kane down the middle of like a front 3, Sterling against a team like Tunisia who do just sit deep and kind of pack the central areas. Sterling didn't really have much.
It's not really his fault, but it's
space.
just
it was more the system and the team that we were playing. I think.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a good game.
I wanted to say, like that game, as we saw when he came on, suits a Marcus Rashford, a player that's willing to get on the ball and drive into the penalty area. We need to see more of that. Vardy as well. I think again. Loftus-Cheek. Let's talk about him. He was the surprise package. If I'm Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard, I'm considering if I'm in that Panama team ahead of Loftus-Cheek, because when he came on, he was one of our brightest players. What I love about Loftus-Cheek, we saw it in the friendlies when he first played at Wembley, if you recall. He loves being on the ball. He demands the ball. And that's what I absolutely love about it. And that's what we didn't see enough of. That's part of my criticism to why Henderson's performance is limited, because we didn't see enough of Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard wanting to be on the ball. And at times they were. They arguably then come too deep. It's like they need to find the balance. They don't play together all the time, right? So in a game scenario, they need to figure out how they can get more involved. And we did that in the first half, but we didn't see it so much in the second at all.
I think
Loftus-Cheek gave us that option. Yeah.
Yeah, I think against Panama, I'd start with the team that finished the game. I think I'd start with.
Well, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because I think Rashford and Loftus-Cheek have definitely made a case for that now.
Yeah.
And the idea of bringing on a Dele Alli late on, or a Jesse Lingard, or an Eric, like interesting, Eric Dyer came on. Are you assuming he won't start? You took about the other two, yeah.
Well, I mean, even so, maybe I'd be tempted to make some changes, because thank God that we've won that game. He can do that now, and we can rest players for the Belgium game. I think Ali took a little knock, didn't he, about 10 minutes before half time in the first half, and he wasn't running freely.
I can't believe he stayed on as he did, Ali.
No, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I thought, oh, okay, they won't make the change until half time to see how he is over half time, instead of doing it prematurely. But then he was back out at the second half, and he didn't look.
But then he still looked off it, didn't he? I worry about two players within the system that Southgate's designed, and it is Sterling and it is Ali. Because I just think that in transition, you need players that are confident on the ball. Raheem Sterling is good on the ball. Wouldn't necessarily say Raheem Sterling is confident on the ball, though. When he gets it, there's almost that idea that he's not going to go for goal, so he doesn't look as if he's in control of like what he wants to do. He always has to sort of lay it off or knock it off, and then he makes a run, which is a little bit aimless. Which, when you're in a City team, he's giving it to David Silva. He's giving it to Kevin De Bruyne. He's giving it to players that have then got the creative mindset to think, right, this is how we're going to pick this apart. When he's giving it to Jesse Lingard or Jordan Henderson, who are both good players, they're not at the same level. So Sterling's impact is so limited. Whereas with Rashford, he's not looking to do that. Rashford's thinking, I'm quicker than this guy. I'm going to get past him. I'm going to do him. And that's what's quite exciting.
I think actually the best moment of Sterling's game was what ended in a really poor finish, where in the first half, where Ali cut the ball back to Lingard, he then whipped it across, the one that was just slightly offside.
Yeah.
And then Sterling
he missed it. Yeah. But the movement to be there was so good.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
so frustrating.
That move was fantastic. It was probably the best move of the game. And that was a Man City, straight out of Man City's playbook, wasn't it? And
without
Sterling,
doubt.
Sterling was in the exact position that he is when De Bruyne's putting that cross in.
It was such a shame.
And that was promising, I think, though, because there is a blueprint there for how we can sort of get in against teams. I'm just imagining this. I'm kind of playing this out of playing a team
like Belgium,
like Germany, or Germany, say that we saw last night with that high line. And I think there is definitely, with the players we have.
Oh, we've seen it in friendlies. I know friendlies are not the same, and probably, like you always say this, that friendlies can't ever be equated to a walk-up experience, which I totally get, but. In friendlies, we've seen these teams that come at us a bit more confident because they think we can be got at. We end up punishing them because of the pace we've got on the break. So it'll be interesting to see what we do with that. But yeah, I do worry a little bit about, and the same goes for Harry Kane a little bit. I know he's got 2 goals, and that, like, you can say nothing more, can you? Like, that's exactly what he's there to do.
First player since Lineker to get to.
But there's a few moments where you just think, get him involved. Like, I want to see him involved more. And yes, it's difficult against teams like this. But you want to see players running off him. You want to see him hold up the play a little bit. Have a few more shots. I think apart from the goals he scored, did he have a shot? I can't remember him having one. Like having a clear-cut opportunity to have like a proper strike on goal. Yeah. And his finishing is his best asset, right? So you want to see him have more opportunity to do that. Anything else do you want to mention, Proudy, that you're impressed with? Anything you liked?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it all. Like I think the players off the bench did a good job. I'm not sure if I would have understood like bringing Vardy on. Like, I saw a lot of people saying bring Vardy on, but
for Sterling I would have done, but Rashford I was cool with as well. It didn't really matter.
Yeah, but I think I would have preferred Rashford because Rashford can.
He carries the ball better.
He dribbles past players. He could do the unexpected. I think Vardy plays like if you play to his strength, then it will work. But the problem is, we were barely getting balls behind the defence. So I don't know how we can really utilise Vardy. So I mean, I have to praise Southgate. Like I've always backed him since he started, and I think this is the tournament where. Well, actually, I think I read earlier that he's sort of bought himself a free tournament because he's brought in a lot of inexperienced players, let's say at World Cup tournament level, He's changing the old guard. Like, he hasn't brought a lot of the old players that we, used to tournament faders. We had Brazil. We had players that we could take from the Brazil squad. The 2014 squads or the 2010 squad. But this year, he's decided to change it. He's brought in players that have been picked on form mostly, like not Danny Welbeck or maybe someone else in the team that I can't remember.
Danny Rose. Maybe
Danny Rose. I think
he's not played a lot, has he? That's all.
Yeah, Danny. But then again, like we haven't really got many naturally side left backs. Any proper left backs that you can really like. Bertrand didn't have a good year, and Shaw not really had a great year either. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, I have to praise Southgate, and I'm excited for the next 2 games now. Like I did think if we drew, then I'd probably be, oh no, here we go, because we have to then beat Panama, and once we have to beat someone, that's when the pressure gets in.
The fear is if you draw against Tunisia and you only beat Panama like 2-0, and then Tunisia in the final game are beating Panama and we're drawing with Belgium, and it's like, oh god, if Belgium score here, this could be a disaster. That would have been really bad. But no, I thought Southgate did really well. It'd be interesting to see what the reaction would have been had we not got that late goal. I did feel like it was coming. It was strange. I felt like we were definitely going to get one more big chance, and it was whether we were going to take it.
And one more thing. Our corners were so dangerous. Like, most of the time, corners.
I mean, Harry Maguire's got a massive head. That's what it is. I'm convinced that's the factor, because Harry Maguire's got such a big head.
It was a great save from the keeper for the
Stones header.
Yeah. I thought that went in straight away, but at least Kane was there to put it in.
You feel for the keeper that started, don't you? I mean, you wait all year. Well, I mean, however long you've been qualified for. You don't feel for him. He was walking off crying. I thought, oh man, like that is like the worst thing that can happen to you as a footballer. It sucks.
Yeah.
We've had our fair share of tears.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true.
I find it hard to be
sympathetic. Not many injury tears. Not in that manner, anyway. Right, let's look ahead then to the next England game. It's a while away, isn't it? It's the weekend, right?
Yeah.
It's a Sunday.
So long.
It's kind of annoying because I've just got a new job and I have to start this weekend, so I missed the first half.
You should have a carpet fitted for the Belgium game.
Yeah, I hope we're winning 3-0, so I can go to the pub and it's like, yep, this is fine.
But no, looking forward, I think team-wise, he's got some decisions to make, hasn't he? Like he can rotate it around a little bit and he can change things around. I genuinely wonder against Panama if he'll drop Kyle Walker for Gary Cahill and have 3 recognised centre backs, because I thought Walker had a pretty average game. In a game that you're dominating, you don't need Kyle Walker though. Like there was only one point where his pace bailed him out a little bit. I just think Trippier's a better right back. Walker's fast. He's a nice option to bring on if you have any issues, but I don't know. I just think maybe we're so good aerially. Get another big centre back forward. Like get Cahill in there as well. So you have got Cahill, Stones, Maguire, Henderson's going in as well, and Harry Kane. Like you got some big old boys in there. You got some big old boys, haven't you? And Loftus-Cheek might play as well.
Some big old boys.
Loftus-Cheek as well. There could be six footers.
Get it in the long throws.
Coolest ball.
But like our set pieces. We need to focus on how big Harry Maguire's head is. Just the biggest head of all the heads. I love it, but I think he did his post-match press conference sort of interview thing, and it's just every England footballer's got a voice you don't expect. I've never heard Harry Maguire before. I was like, oh, he's quite.
I had him playing Fortnite on TeamSpeak too.
Oh yeah, with Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I love the pictures of them. All they're doing is playing Fortnite and watching Love Island. That's all they've got going on at the moment. It's bizarre. Same, yeah. No, you hate Fortnite. Don't mock me. Don't play with me. Let's go back a little bit then. Of course, last time we met, it was after the Russia Saudi Arabia game, and it had
so long ago.
Yeah, the rest of it hadn't happened. We'll go over the Group A stuff very, very briefly. Iran beat Morocco in a very late last gasp moment, which wasn't it? I'm right with that. I'm pretty sure.
94th minute winner, I think it was.
But I
got one of those.
You said
got one of those.
You said Morocco were good, Proudy. Once again, incorrect.
Well, they should have won, but that's the game.
Luis Suarez looked off the pace in the Uruguay game. I mean, they wouldn't shut up about it in the commentary. But it's funny. I still think he'll probably score like 4 this tournament, but he didn't look with it. Him and Cavani weren't really gelling, and Uruguay as a team didn't look at it. I didn't think. It was a bit of a funny one. And of course, Salah didn't play as well, which was obviously the big talking point. Torquay will be fit for the next one. When is that? That's pretty soon.
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Evening.
They're playing Russia as well, so it's a big game that they're going to need him for. But yeah, so Uruguay and Iran top the group with Egypt and Morocco with it all to do. I'll tell you what though, Egypt have got to win against Russia. Otherwise, Sorry, not Morocco and Iran. My apologies, I messed that up big time. Saudi Arabia obviously play Uruguay, but Egypt have got to beat Russia. Then it all goes to the final game where Russia obviously play Uruguay, and that's going to be obviously their toughest game. Match of the tournament so far. Should we talk about it, boys? Portugal, Spain. Pretty good, wasn't it? It woke up the tournament with a bit of a bang.
I think Spain showed why they're going to win the World Cup.
You said this before we started recording. Now I didn't go back at you because I thought, well, wait, we'll save this for the podcast. You still think Spain have looked the most impressive at the tournament? I do not agree with that.
What team has looked more impressive?
England.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Granted.
All right. Well, no. If you want serious answers, I would probably say that Croatia looked pretty good in their game, and I would arguably say that Russia looked very good in their game.
Okay, fine. But in terms of teams that can actually win
Belgium looked pretty good.
Okay,
I know they played Panama, but they looked pretty good.
They were playing some.
I don't think you can look like the best team in the tournament and not win it, win the game.
I think other than that incredible moment from Ronaldo, like incredible sporting moment, basically.
Yeah.
They would have clawed themselves back into a game incredibly well. They scored 3 different goals. Ronaldo got his hat trick, 2 set pieces and a free kick. 2 set pieces and a goalkeeping error.
Yeah.
I don't think De Gea makes those errors all the time. I was just really impressed by how, even after going down, they came back into it. And in comparison, obviously, I'm kind of saying this now we've seen all the big guns pretty much. Including England,
but they're quite level. But on that, they're quite level footing, aren't they? With the likes of France and Brazil, who haven't really impressed so far. But they've obviously with France, they won their game.
But I'd also say Spain were playing. That was the most competitive match, probably. Maybe Mexico, Germany. Mexico are a good side, but they were playing the European champions. In a competitive game.
I mean, there was 3 goals in that game. I absolutely loved obviously the Ronaldo free kick. Goes without saying, it's stunning. It must have given you flashbacks to Portsmouth, Chris, when you saw that.
Yeah, I was going to say this because every time they bring a Ronaldo free kick up, it's always the one against us. So I'm hoping that they use that one now. So
I think that was the last one he scored.
I was going to say he's not scored in 40 or something.
Yeah, he scored so many more than that, but they always use the one against Portsmouth.
Yeah, because of the bend, because it moved in the air. It sort of goes.
It's like, how many more times do I have to see it?
Well, basically, he's in the Old Trafford car park when he hits it. He's miles.
He's not miles. Is he? I don't remember it like that. But the Diego Costa goal, where he shoves off the defender, and then holds it up so well, and then finishes it. I absolutely loved that goal. I thought, you are a nasty little bastard, aren't you? But that is such a good goal. And then the Nacho volley, half volley, whew, that gets you out your seat, doesn't it? I mean, I was loving that as well.
The match of the day didn't have enough time to just slow the replay down and play it about 15 times. It's just one of those that you could watch all day.
It was so sweetly hit. I was thinking, and they were all going, the technique on that. I could do that when I was 17, not anymore.
I actually thought as well that the other goal that Spain scored was a really well worked set piece, and it's something that we don't often associate with
I can't remember it. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a ball to the back post, and Busquets nodded it, and then Costa topped.
Oh yes, of course.
It was a really well worked set piece.
Yeah. Well, I've obviously been watching England. I've obviously getting tapes, DVDs of England in training, and they've thought, we'll use some of that.
Just finally on my Spain shout, I think the reason that I'm still sticking by this is because that they showed in that game sort of answers to some of the questions that we've had about them for quite a few years. Particularly
Costa's the big one for me though. Costa's the big X factor for them.
Yeah.
The
second one is sort of how they've moved on, sort of regenerated the team from the era that won the 2010 World Cup. Yeah. And in Isco, seeing him play he was the best player on the pitch probably for much of the game. He's
so calm, isn't he? His calmness
really
on the ball is it's just.
And I just. Yeah, absolutely, and I just feel like that they did show enough in that. As I said again, in comparison to the other big teams, it's early days.
Equally, Portugal would be delighted to get a point against Spain. Tell you what. Someone else. I'll tell you what makes me feel a little bit queasy. Is on 70 when Iniesta comes on. If you think, Spain taking Iniesta, and then Thiago just wanders on. It's like, oh god, literally better than 3 of our players combined. Take your pick. Depressing.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
And then, to be fair, 7 minutes later, Aspas came on. I thought they're not as deep as I thought they were, but he's been pretty good in Spain. To be fair, and then I love that someone said, might have been Danny Murphy. It was like, Liverpool proved they did make a good signing after the form he's shown. After that, I'm thinking, Danny, mate, he was dreadful at Liverpool. He's remembered for Iago Aspas is remembered for one thing at Liverpool. It's a bad corner he took against Chelsea, where we lost that game when Gerrard did a little fall. But that's all he's remembered for in Liverpool. So 3-3 in that one. Great game. Probably favourite game of the tournament so far, other than England?
Has to be.
Got to be, right? Yeah, it was stunning. I say that, there's been some really good battles. France-Australia, for the first half of France-Australia was so fun, because it was like, can France break down the Aussie wall? And occasionally Australia would break as well. Penalties galore, and obviously the own goal.
Let's
which
talk
was
about
a bit mad.
Umtiti.
I mean,
that was strange.
It is the worst hand of God I've seen at a World Cup for some years since Luis Suarez. But I don't know why he does it. It's just bizarre, isn't it?
There really is there's no explanation for it.
It's just bizarre. Yeah, he's obviously so fearful, but I've never understood that why players do it. Like as if no one's going to see.
I know. I just
it's
genuinely
so
think
weird.
he just sort of forgot where he was.
It must be instinctive. It must be just instinctive. I need to get this away. I'll use any part of my body. I'll use my arm. That's not allowed. Bollocks. Like it's just, but it's funny. And obviously, Griezmann's got his penalty as well. Decent finish from him, and then the own goal, which is just a bit odd, like a bit of an odd way for the ball to go into the goal. But it did. What do you make of France, Parody? I mean, you've backed them a little bit, have you not?
Yeah, they're my favourite tournament. I think
better than Spain, or?
Well, we'll see. But they are perennial slow starters. Like they have started slow the last few tournaments, if I can remember correctly. Well, I think 2014 they beat Honduras 3-0, but that's Honduras. But I think like they started slow in the Euros in 2016.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they started slow 2010 as well. They got knocked out of that one. So I think they needed a win, and it wasn't a very convincing performance. I was expecting more at the front three because they played Mbappe, Griezmann, and Dembele, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like Australia are going to get thrashed here. But
they defended really well. Australia did really well.
Yeah, Australia. I mean, you have to give them credit where credit's due. I mean, their back line is not like the strongest, and they got Jedinak still in there, who's not the greatest anymore. I think there was a bit of talk. I was reading the Australia team lineup before the game.
Yeah,
and I think quite a lot of talk was about why Jedinak was in the team and not. I think it was Luongo or something like that.
Yeah.
I think
former Swindon player.
Yeah, Swindon. Yeah, and so it was a good performance for Australia. I mean, but the other games in the group, you know, they got Peru.
Who didn't look that good? So, I thought Peru looked a bit average, to be fair.
Peru. You
picked them up as well.
Yeah, I was expecting more of them, but I think
not against my dark horses.
Actually, then again, Schmeichel had a good game. To be fair, Schmeichel.
Denmark, mate, they're knocking Argentina out in the next round.
Not a chance.
How much do we enjoy the name Trent Sainsbury? By the way, for the Aussie centre back Trent Sainsbury, I love it. I don't know why I love it, but I love it.
Nice to see my boy Jedinak.
Mate, oh yeah, well, yeah, that's very true. Actually, the back two of Sainsbury and Milligan, I just love it. Yeah. I don't see the word Milligan enough in my life. But no, it was quite good. I thought Lecky was getting set off in that game. By the way, he was all over the place. He got booked. But,
my mate sent me a text. We were discussing this, that the few Villa players that are at the World Cup have been, as we're quite cash strapped at the moment, they have been tasked with getting the best shirts they possibly can, which we can then take back and
auction.
Money. So,
yeah.
Berkir Bjarnason got Messi's shirt. So
excellent! That'll go for that.
Pay for a week's wages.
That's a few thousand. Did Jedinak get one?
Yeah, Jedinak got Griezmann's.
Oh, so terrific! I mean, it's next level. Who else have you got at the tournament?
El Mohammadi. So he could grab
what
one.
Luis Suarez's?
Yeah.
Oh, he must have surely.
So Cavani got Salah's, didn't he? That was he didn't even play, but Cavani still was desperate for his shirt, which strange. Trent Sainsbury though, wonderful name.
A nice, valuable collection.
He's had a strange career. I was just looking at his career right now. He
started
in Australia, obviously. Then went to the Netherlands, then China, went on loan to Inter Milan, played one game there, and then now he's on loan in Switzerland.
Trent Sainsbury, love him. I'll keep your eyes out for Trent. Who do they play next? Actually, Australia.
I thought it was Peru.
They play Denmark next, so it could be all over for them. And France play Peru. Okay, Argentina faltered. I mean, Denmark beat Peru, but Argentina faltered against Iceland. Who
predicted the 1-1.
We wrote. Yeah, you did actually. We wrote that. We kind of wrote Iceland off though as like not again, Kino, and they did it again. And Messi missed a penalty, which I mean, if you needed evidence, folks, that Ronaldo's better than Messi, there it was after Ronaldo, because that's obviously what we should base it all upon. But no, Argentina, it was a bit funny, really. Aguero's goal was great, though, wasn't it? I mean, nice to see him do it on a big stage. But a 1-1, not ideal. Croatia topped the group. They beat Nigeria 2-0. People talk about Argentina's defence like it's not very good.
It's not really, though, is it? Like,
I mean, it's not bad, though. I mean,
yeah, I'm not.
Cavallero's like not the greatest, but we're talking about. I mean, they're playing Iceland, right? Let me just quickly find the Argentine defence because I remember seeing it and thinking, right, so it's Salvio, Otamendi, Rojo, and Mascherano.
Yeah,
No, sorry, not Mascherano. Sorry, Rojo and Otamendi as a back two.
Yeah.
Tagliafico plays at left back, and Salvio plays at right back. Like, it's not that bad, is it? Really, with Mascherano in front. Like, I'm not having this.
Mascherano plays centre back, doesn't he?
No, he played just in front. I'm pretty sure in this game. He plays like in the DM role.
Yeah, he did.
So
Yeah.
with Biglia, like, come on, it's not that like it's pretty good. When you think about who they've got in front as well, like it's
I think it's to do with the fact that
compared to other big teams, like
but their defense, like with the back four and then Mascherano playing in front, like you look at the midfield and the attack, they're all attacking minded. Like they were essentially playing 4-2-4.
Yeah.
And Di Maria and I don't know who else was on the sure you can help me out. Was it Di Maria and
oh blimey, I had it up a minute ago.
Yeah,
so their front four was Meza. Who is Meza? Maximiliano Meza. Has he got another name?
I don't even remember if he played.
Who's
yeah, well, he must have, but I mean, I can't remember if he.
Oh no, he did. He's just known as Maximiliano Meza. Right, it was him.
Oh, okay. Well, they haven't got many defensive-minded like midfielders, wingers, and attackers really.
No.
So I mean, they're so top-heavy that their defense is just exposed all the time, and Iceland's exposed it really well. They did what they do best, which is they fashion that one chance and score.
Yeah,
and that was it.
22% possession. Argentina had 27 shots.
Yeah.
20 off target though. I mean, that's not great from them. Or 20 not on target.
But I will credit Iceland because they're. I'll get in there because I obviously have predicted 1-1 because you baptized them heavily. But I think it's the thing that I like about Iceland the most is that they play this rigid 4-4-2, yet every defender seems to be flawless defensively. Like every decision they make is just the perfect decision. Like where to get the ball, where to clear it. They don't mess around with it at the back. It's so stunning to watch, really, because I mean, I could see it coming for a little bit because I thought, oh yeah, they'll get the goal, and I actually thought they were going to score first, and then Argentina would score, and then that'll be it. Like it would just be back to the ball. But when Argentina took the lead, I thought, yeah, this might be game over. But I've
got to admit, I was really quite disappointed by Argentina, considering that I think they have probably the best manager at the World Cup in Jorge Sampaoli, and he's a guy that is known for the preparation that he puts into matches, and obviously they've known this draw for like 9 months. They've been able to prepare for this game, and still the reliance tactically that was on Messi for the whole game.
Just hoping Messi scores from outside the area,
and that didn't help. That didn't help anyone. It didn't help Argentina because it was so predictable for Iceland to defend, and it didn't help Messi himself because he as fantastic as he is.
It's not his game.
One thing that he's so brilliant at is his assists and his passing range. And when you're constantly giving him the ball in front of about 7 bodies on the edge of the box, he can't open up the angles if there aren't the players moving around him. And I was really surprised actually because while Argentina were kind of middling in qualifying and he had to dig them out of a bit of magic to send them to the World Cup, I still thought that as high as I rate Sampaoli, that he would have come up with a system that would make it work.
Well,
and it just looked the same as all the Argentinas that we've seen in the past.
I'll tell you what though, he brought Higuain on 84 and he didn't bring on Dybala. Like, I just think I know they're the names, right? And everyone knows who Dybala is and everyone knows who Higuain is. But like Higuain should be coming on at least 20 minutes earlier than that, and Dybala should definitely be. I know they brought Pavon on, but Dybala is, for my money, Dybala's world class. Like, the fact we didn't see Dybala is confusing to me. I definitely think we'll see him in the next game because they need a player like him. Like he's equally as creative as someone like Messi is. Like in a very similar way. I was really
surprised. It was the Pavon substitution for me that really surprised me because I thought
he's not a bad player. It's just like it's just the wrong player at that point.
Different type of player. Pavon is quite similar to Di Maria. He's quite direct, quick. He plays off the wing. If you'd have put Dybala out there, who would have looked to do similar things to Messi, you then would have given Iceland 2 kind of similar players to think about, and that would have freed up one or the other. That would have been the kind of logical move.
What I would have done is when they brought Higuain on, I would have put Messi on the right and then you bring Dybala on the other side. So and people are playing in the chat, and they've got a really valid point that Messi and Dybala traditionally can't play together because of how similar they play and the space they take up. If you put them on either side, very rarely are they going to combine in a way that it's a problem. So, and you put two quality players in positions where they can beat a fullback maybe and get a ball into the middle for someone like Higuain, for an Aguero who thrives off that sort of shit. Like, mad.
I agree with the chat actually in the sense that you probably couldn't play them together in a kind of normal match.
You could play them in a 4-4-2 or anything like that, but yeah.
But also just against a team that doesn't play in the way that Iceland do. But it was the way that Iceland were playing was almost like a kind of training exercise. It was like Argentina had to break down this kind of wall. So I think he had to do something a little bit unconventional, as you say, maybe Messi on one side. It's crazy to think about, like, Dybala and Messi on either wing.
Yeah, Messi putting crosses in. Like, come on, it's about time.
Trippier, mate. Chances created.
Who's better crossing the ball, Trippier or Messi? I think we know the answer, don't we, Kieran?
Stats don't lie.
Croatia beat Nigeria 2-0, pretty routine. Nigeria just, they don't really have it, do they?
I put Victor Moses in my fantasy team.
Oh dear.
So did I, actually. On your tip, thanks, Kino.
To be fair, I've not checked my fantasy team. It's the World Cup.
Messi was my captain. That's
Well, see, Griezmann was mine. I was well happy with that. I was like, yeah, that's what we're talking about. I'll check my team in a minute. We'll see who I picked.
Didn't have any England players in, which I think I'll be changing.
I don't know if that's foolish, right? Moving on then, of course, I got Croatia beat Nigeria. Then it was, what day is it today? Yesterday, wasn't it? Costa Rica, versus Serbia. Serbia got the win in that one. But let's move to Brazil, shall we? Who flattered to deceive a little bit against Switzerland, who actually I thought looked better than anyone expected. I think a lot of people, obviously I had Brazil as my team to win it. They just didn't look like they were clicking, and I thought they would. It was a bit surprising. Proudy?
Yeah, I think the problem is it seemed like as well that they were quite relying on Neymar to pull something. Like, I think when it became 1-1, the ball was going to Neymar a lot, and the problem is he was getting closed down quite viciously by the Swiss. And the problem is that when your key player isn't able to inspire the team, it becomes very difficult. And then there's zero options really, because I think I can't remember who Brazil really sent. Oh, they sent on Firmino, but the problem, and he had that really good chance like near the end, which someone made a good save for. But the problem is that you took off Jesus, who I thought was playing quite well, and he was. They were working him, Neymar, and. Was it Willian? Was Willian on the right? Willian was on the right, wasn't he? I thought they were working really well together. And then the problem is Brazil conceded a really sloppy goal from a corner. Like, no one marked Zuba at all. Like, I think there was about 4 players in front of Zuba, and he headed it in.
So easy.
And then they lose concentration because the problem is they weren't expecting probably to concede Switzerland. I don't think Switzerland offered any in that game. And you concede a goal, and then suddenly it's like, oh, we have to start playing again. But the problem is the other team would just think, oh, we're going to sit back and take the point now.
Brazil just didn't create as much as I thought they'd create.
No.
For me. It was like, with the players they've got on the pitch, I just expected that a little bit more. I don't know if in central midfield, they don't quite have the creativity to break a team down. Like, there's Paulinho in there, who's obviously a very good player. Casemiro. I don't know if they're necessarily known for their creative traits. And Fernandinho came on, and Renato Augusto came on, and obviously Firmino came on late on. And they're slightly more creative, maybe slightly more creative, not that much more. There is this reliance on Coutinho to get the best out of Willian and Neymar, I feel like. And I mean, he was the man that scored the goal. Great goal. Maybe the goal, I guess Ronaldo's free kick. Probably still the best goal of the tournament.
There are 3 really. I'd have the Nacho volley.
Nacho, Ronaldo, and Coutinho.
Yeah, they'd be my 3 at the minute.
That's probably fair.
Actually, to be fair, honourable mention for Kolarof's free kick, which was probably a better.
True.
Ronaldo.
Very true.
But didn't have quite the context.
Circumstance wasn't enough, was it? And that Harry Kane header in the last minute, that was particularly good as well. Shout out to Harry Kane. Germany 0, Mexico 1 in what is probably the shock of the tournament, right? Shock of the tournament. Germany just never properly got going.
They were. Did you see Hummels' comments after the game were quite interesting?
Oh, go on.
He said something like, it's kind of hard to play when there's so many attacking players on the pitch and no one's covering defensively. It was something along the lines of that.
What's he talking about? Wait, what? Khedira?
No, he was having a go at, I think it was like Kimmich and Plattenhardt.
Yes.
I remember a lot of the time in the second half when Mexico were breaking, it was just Hummels and Boateng at the back. And I was thinking, what's going on? Like,
he said something like we were left alone as well. Or something like that.
They were so...
they were left 3v2. I'm not having that from Hummels because Manuel Neuer is basically sat next to him for most of the game, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it was quite strange from Germany as well, because there's a lot of talk about how they don't do very well in the friendlies. Then they turn up with the tournament and just roll over teams. But they conceded a really bad goal, which Özil tracking back says it all. Like, it was Özil against Lozano, and then Lozano just skipped past him because Özil was not defensively minded player.
Great goal. Really
great goal. To beat Neuer like that as well, like with the amount of pace on that ball, is.
They could have had a few. Like I worried actually throughout the game that Mexico would pay for the amount of chances that they missed, because Chucky Lozano, who scored the goal, who looked really, really good.
Yeah.
I think he might be one of the kind of players that gets picked up after the World Cup.
Yeah, PSV, right? Like, there's loads of talk that'll go somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, he had 3 or 4 really good chances, and obviously he put one away.
Have you seen the tie of the team within the last 10 minutes of a match at the World Cup in the first round, by the way?
Yeah,
my God. It looked like they were in extra time. It looked like they'd gone all the way through extra time. Javier Hernandez had the face of a man that just I'll do the face. It was like that every time he had to go. He'd run and he'd do the sort of when you've missed the bus, but you do sort of that sort of bollocks. Every time the ball was passed, Hernandez did the God, I missed the bus kind of like little move. It was a shame. Hernandez missed the bus.
On Germany though,
he was tired. Bless him. He won't run next game. There's not a chance.
Oh wait, listen. Let's stick the knife in Germany while we get the chance.
Okay. Rubbish, Brad.
I was kind of a little bit perplexed by the front four. Actually, it seems so one-paced, and I don't think right. So during this game, Twitter was alive with, particularly Premier League football. Twitter was alive with, if only Germany had a left-footed, quick,
I hate that though.
Winger.
But I hate that because he's not the solution in that game. For me.
Well, he might have made a difference, but the Sané not being in squad wasn't the reason that Germany played like that. However, like the 3 behind Werner, who actually I thought looked pretty lively, to be fair to him, and he didn't have a huge amount of kind of gilt-edged chances.
It's hard for any striker because Mexico got their goal and they were like, "That's ours now. We sit on this now for as long as we can." Second half, especially, they were like, "We're not getting anything." I don't blame
the striker in that sort of scenario. I don't think it's his fault. But however, Muller had a poor game. And Draxler on the other side, it did seem quite one-paced. And I know Love obviously sticks with Özil through most of it, and I don't necessarily disagree.
Well, Özil's
down the middle.
Özil's probably going to be the only one to survive that now. There's a lot of talk that Draxler will be dropped and Muller might be dropped as well.
And Brandt will come in, and Brandt looked really lively when he came on. But it seemed quite obvious to me that the way that Özil and Muller tend to play together, Muller isn't obviously a classic winger, but that's fine because he'll drift inside and Özil will kind of left foot. Yeah, but Özil will kind of take that space and drift out towards the right. But that means on the left-hand side that you did need someone like Marco Reus or Asane, of course, because they are much more direct, tends to run with a bit more pace, and that gives balance to that 3 behind.
You mentioned that right.
It looked so one-paced.
He brought Reus on for Khedira on the hour mark, and it was like, the last thing you need are more players to stand in a line. Like, it just doesn't work. Tony Kroos looked really frustrated with like the lack of movement in front of him.
I'd be tempted to play Gundogan instead of Khedira next game.
Well, not only that, you arguably, one of the ways they could get it out of it is if you take Draxler out, and of course Brandt's like the talk that he'll play instead. Werner came off late on, but it's not really anything to do with him. If Draxler comes out, then you can play a more natural like left-sided player in Brandt now, and then have Muller more on that side, and then you give Özil space to manoeuvre. Because that was the problem for me, is that Özil had no room to move. Of course, Mexico have got like 15 players just sort of camped on the edge of edge of their box. But there wasn't enough space for them to operate, and it's not a too dissimilar thing to the England issues that in the second half that we've just seen tonight. But yeah, I mean, could they go out?
Well,
I mean,
no. The problem is that they have to. If they don't beat Sweden the next game, then they are in trouble.
But even if they draw, like.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Because then Sweden take on Mexico. Like, if Mexico are probably going to beat South Korea. I mean, so Mexico.
I don't know. If Mexico can run by next Saturday, I'll be impressed.
Yeah, and then Sweden getting a draw against Germany, and then Germany needs Sweden to lose to make.
And Sweden have had a really good result against Germany in the last 18 months.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Like, it could happen.
It's going to be fascinating, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but imagine Sweden. Like, we're in a situation now where Sweden and Mexico could come out of that group.
Yeah.
Like the way it's looking
And then
after
we'll
the
take
first
on
round of
Sweden
games.
in the
All I'll say is,
quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll take on Sweden. Right.
3 words, path to victory.
I thought it was going to be I'm not worried, but I'll
I
take
thought
it.
it was coming home.
Path to victory. Well, if Brazil keep following like this, then I think semi-finals is almost the minimum expectation at this point, boys. Let's talk a little bit more about today then. Sweden obviously beat South Korea. We've talked enough about Sweden. We've given them enough props.
I didn't see that.
Belgium, Panama. Did you see that one?
Yeah, that was. Oh, I mean, Panama were very astute in defending.
Love a tackle. Love a tackle to
very
Panama.
They were, astute.
Until they could. It was quite. Belgium just looked awful first off. They had. It seemed like they only had one option. That was to try and play Lukaku every time, and it just wasn't working. Like I think, although there was some. I think Torres got on the end of one. I think it was Torres. Is Torres the number 5, the centre back? I think he is, isn't he, for Panama?
Yeah.
He got his foot to the end of one of the balls. I can't remember. Mertens played it across, and it was just about headed towards Lukaku, and then Gomez or Torres, I can't remember what his name is now, just got his foot to the ball and put it out of play. And Panama looked really good defensively in the first half. They were putting themselves.
Belgium were like England 2006.
Yeah, until Mertens pulled out Joe Cole, and then it was over though. Then
top quality player, mate. Top quality player. Yeah, great goal from Mertens.
But I'm not worried about Belgium. I've had my doubts about them, just because Martinez is managing them.
Are you moving them into the not worried column?
I've had them in the not worried column since 2016. Since they got knocked out by Wales.
Who's in the worried column for you, Proudy?
I think. It's just
not many for me.
There's not many. No, but the problem is, it'll be more interesting after match day 2. After match day 2, then we'll know, because it could change. Because you obviously can't put teams like Germany or Brazil in there because they've drawn and lost.
Well,
if they win the next game, then we moved into the worried column.
I'm more worried about someone like Portugal than I am Belgium.
I think Belgium.
Having seen them both.
Having seen Belgium today, I think our style fits perfectly against theirs.
Yeah, I think they'll.
Yeah. It'll be more open.
I will say, Belgium are in my worry column. There's not.
Well, okay. Well, let me.
I'll say that much.
Talk a little bit about why. I think I would definitely, as you said, play with 3 conventional centre backs against Belgium.
But so will they.
Because other than Lukaku, they're not going to sort of, I think, run in behind. Hazard likes to face up a defence and then slip through. Same with De Bruyne. And so I think we'll kind of mirror their system. But the areas that I think we can really get joy is the gaps between their 2 wing backs who didn't impress me at all today, and the centre backs.
Let me tell you, Jamie Vardy loves playing against Tottenham defenders. Let me tell you, and I think that could be the one area in which we are potent, and there's going to be no one better. I mean, equally they're going to know quite a lot about Ali and Harry Kane, but they're going to know the pro points and the weak points of those players. You never know. That could be a real key thing for us. And of course, Company might be back for that game as well. Sterling, you'll know all about Company.
But I just think we've already mentioned Trippier earlier and how many chances he created. Him up against Ferreira Carrasco and left wing back. I think that's a mismatch. I think we can get a load of joy from that.
They're not bad in wing back areas. Is it Meunier? Is that what it's called? Meunier. He's actually a pretty good defender. He didn't have a fantastic game today, but he's actually very capable. I'm not sure him versus Danny Rose would be quite a good contest though. I do think natural left footer out there. I'm a fan of Danny Rose, if it's not obvious. But I just hope just beat Panama. Just beat Panama, and I don't really care what happens against Belgium. I just want to be in the knockout route. I don't really care if we lose it, whatever. Lose it well, But you know what? Pressure off. How many games that England play at tournaments where there's no pressure at all? The only outcome can be good or okay. Just beat Panama. Just smash them 5-0, Harry. Come on, you can do that. And that brings us to the end of our roundup. Of course, tomorrow is Russia, Egypt, Colombia, Japan, and Poland, Senegal. Weird that... Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say it's weird that Russia played before them, but they don't. It's just because the groups are funny. Colombia, Japan is the first game of the day. Poland, Senegal, and then Russia, Egypt. I would ask you for predictions, boys, but I'm actually not going to. Next time we will do a podcast, though, will probably be after Argentina, Croatia, potentially on the Thursday, boys. Thoughts? Yeah, maybe around then.
Yeah.
Thursday.
I should be around.
3-4 days. So get that in your diaries, folks, if you're listening. We did a poll earlier, and I need to try and figure out how to find out what the results were. It's still, well, according to mine, it's the wrong poll. So hang on a minute. Maybe people were right and it didn't actually post. Oh, no, there we are. Should it be a penalty? Yes or no? Yes, 70%. 24% said no, it wasn't a penalty, and 5% didn't know. I didn't know either. I'm not sure if it's a penalty or not, really. Very quickly, boys, VAR. Let's talk about it again, because there's been a lot more incidents with VAR. Are you enjoying it, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, go on, Kino. You're both enjoying it?
Yes. I think it's just the fact that it's so fast.
I think at its core, well, yeah, it's weird how it's been so badly used in the FA Cup, but then so well used at the World Cup. Like, I think
trial and error, though, isn't it?
The problem is this. My issue with it, and people say, "Oh, you're never talking." I try and give it credit where credit's due, as a system. But there's so many moments where I just think that should have been picked up, and they should have noticed that. And one of my fears with VAR is that we're going to get to the point with it that every decision will suddenly matter. The more decisions you claim VAR can be used for, the other decisions that it's not used for become more highlighted. And I worry that in 5 years, we're actually what's going to be the point of referees or linesmen? Genuinely, what's going to be the point if every decision's going to matter so much? Then you have robot officiated matches, and that's something I really don't want to go anywhere near. That's part of my issue with VAR. We could talk about VAR all night, but I'm not going to. I just wanted to bring it up because I wanted to give it a bit of a slag in. But I think so far, it's been really good. So
yeah. Have you? Sorry, someone just said it in the chat. Have you noticed that BBC Sport have just posted Jack on their Twitter page?
On their Twitter page?
Yeah, I've put it in the Discord.
He's not gone viral, has he?
He's on the front. He's on the front of BBC Sport. Amazing. So
on their Twitter?
Yeah, yeah.
No, hang on a minute. It's not a picture of him, is it?
No, it's just a tweet.
Yeah, it's one of his tweets that's actually made it on the BBC Sport website. So.
Oh.
I know.
Did they ask him to use that?
Well, I think he should claim. So. Yeah, he should claim something from them.
Did it go viral?
I don't think it did.
Oh, it must have for BBC Sport.
Well, I mean, yeah. Why would it just randomly come up? I can't find it anywhere. Did Jack even tweet it? Is Jack working for the BBC?
Oh no, he didn't.
You must be fuming, mate. Proudy must be fuming.
Yeah. Proudy's got 5,000 retweets, and he's not.
Yeah, hold on. I was on the mirror.
Hold on, it says hold on.
Yeah, I was on the mirror. Get me in.
I had more than Jack's one. I'm not on BBC.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
No, well, I've been on the BBC.
I did a tweet about my Father's Day. Got 600 likes.
I was on a BBC article. Let's not forget that.
Unbelievable. He leaves the podcast. He goes big time. Makes me sick. Right then, boys. That is going to wrap up today's show. Thank you for Kino and Proudy for joining me. Hopefully you're enjoying the World Cup. Of course, leave your thoughts on things that happened in the comments of the VOD that will be available later today. If you've just joined now, don't you worry about that.
People say to go and have a lie down.
Proudy, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me again.
Kino, pleasure as always.
Football's coming home.
Football's coming home. And that is going to bring us to the end. We will see you again soon for more from us at For The Fans. Take care, stay humble, stay handsome. We'll see you again. Chris Powell's waving, Jack's looking you in the eyes. We're not starting soon, that is still a lie.